This is East Idaho Newsmakers with Nate Eaton.
Thanks for being with us today. I'm really happy to have here in our studio Randy'L Teton. She is the Public Affairs Manager for the Shoshone-Bannock tribes, and she has a very interesting life story, one that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks for coming in today, Randy.
Yes, thank you. Good to be here.
Now, how long have you been working with the tribe?
I have been working with the Shoshone-Bannock tribes for 7 years.
And what brought you into your role that you're doing today?
Well, you know, I was born and raised on the reservation on the district called the Lincoln Creek, on a road called Little Indian. It's a district that's one of the smaller districts of the reservation. I don't think a lot of people know this, but our reservation is actually the largest land-based tribal reservation in the state of Idaho. So within that reservation, there's actually 5 districts, and I come from one of the smaller districts.
And how many people live on the reservation?
It'll interchange, but we have about 2,000 plus.
Wow.
That live on the reservation, and we have a total of 5,900 tribal members. So we live on and off the reservation in Bannock County, Bingham County, Power County.
You were raised on the reservation, and then you moved away for a time, didn't you?
Correct, yes. I was raised on the reservation in a small community where my grandparents had 11 children. So my neighbors were my uncles and aunts and my cousins, and we rode horse every day and in the sagebrush and enjoyed the outdoors. We were never inside like you see our kids nowadays on their social media and Xbox. You know, our games were outside playing together. And so right after high school, went to school at public school in Blackfoot. I ended up pursuing a degree in museum studies, which is quite unique. I don't think anybody aspires to be a museum director, but I actually had my first job at the Tribal Museum in Fort Hall, and I actually started with sweeping the floors, cleaning the glass cases. My mom was the museum curator for about 10 years, and so it was just one of those things that I learned to have a passion for. I did get asked a lot about Sacagawea, and I asked a lot of the elders at that time that are no longer here, and quite interesting responses. Started reading a lot, and ended up going up into my role at the museum, and ended up working in the cashier. And then one day my mother had 2 large buses pull up. One was from Germany and one was from China. And she told me, "You're taking the Chinese bus." And I ended up having to take a tour of 50 plus Chinese people down to our bottoms area. And I just remembered what my mother would tell the tourists. So I just kind of just did what she did and what she taught me. And
quite a first tour.
It was.
Yeah.
And I got on the microphone on the bus, and it actually translated into Chinese. And so it was pretty interesting. And I was only 14. And so I think that was it sparked my passion for wanting to go into museum studies, to educate the people about the fact that we are still alive, we being the Native American people, and who we really are. And questions that I got asked were crazy. One of them was, do we still live in teepees? No. Do we have a car? Yes. They think that we actually ride horses every day. They think we live in teepees. So there was a lot of stereotypical questions, and that's fine.
And this is when you were 14, but I would
yes.
imagine today there's still some people that ask that.
Oh yes, and that's exactly what I do in my line of work. It comes up. Mm-hmm. There's always that question of, oh, how many people are in Fort Hall? It is a reservation. Can we go onto the reservation? So yeah, there's still a lot of questions, and I think it just started at a young age that I wanted to be the person to help out, understand, and kind of bridge the cultural gap there.
So was there a time where you said, okay, I've had enough of living in Fort Hall, I think it's time to spread my wings and go see the world? Did you want to leave?
I don't think it was a want to leave. It was a want to further my understanding of just comparing and contrasting. I actually got accepted into a school in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It was an Indian art school, and they had the museum studies degree that I was going for. And my mom actually was accepted. She actually was kind of going through this phase in her life where she kind of wanted to advance her studies. And we moved, all of us, down to Santa Fe, and both my mother and I both attended college for the very first time together. We graduated in '96 with our associate's degree in museum studies. She actually got picked up by the Native American Museum down there in Santa Fe, and she worked there. I, on the other hand, ended up going into school at Fort Lewis in Durango, Colorado, furthering my studies in art history, Native American studies, Southwest Indian cultures. So that way I was getting a vast knowledge of other Native cultures.
So one of the really cool things that you probably don't know about Randy is that you were the model for the Sacagawea gold dollar coin.
Correct.
And if I understand it right, you're the only living person to have your likeness appear on currency.
That's correct.
How did that happen? How did that come about?
Well, sometimes I have to pinch myself because it's still something that I don't think it's set in completely. So yes, I actually was chosen as a model for this design of Sacagawea on the new Sacagawea golden dollar coin. This was in 1998. So during that time, I completed my art school. I completed school at Fort Lewis, and I was actually going to school at University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. And the artist, Glenna Goodacre, was actually contacted by the United States Mint to be part of 16 artists throughout the nation to figure out a new design that would replace the Susan B. Anthony design that was on the existing dollar coin. To my knowledge, there was a huge list of individual women, women of color, women that contributed to the United States history, and on the back of the page, it was Sacagawea. And there was about 16 people that were chosen, professors, senators, that the United States Mint actually gave all this list to, and they are the ones to choose, and they ended up choosing Sacagawea. And so after they chose Sacagawea, they chose these artists, and they were all non-native. There was no tribal artists selected. And they just basically said, you know what, it's up to you as an artist. Come up with a Sacagawea image. So Glenna Goodacre, being located in Santa Fe, New Mexico, melting pot of Indian people, she went out and she did her research. She loves history. She went to the local Indian museum down there where my mom was working. And first thing she asked the people were, do you have any Shoshone women? Do you guys know of any Shoshone women? I would like to talk to a Shoshone woman and talk about Sacagawea. Well, they said, well, we have a lady upstairs, and why don't you go talk to her? She's actually from Idaho, and that's where the Shoshones are. And so she talked to my mother, and they talked for about 2 hours. And if anybody knows my mom loves to talk about history.
Yeah. And
they got into talking, and the last question that Glenna asked my mom was, do you have any daughters? And she says, yeah. And this is a time when everybody had pictures in their wallets. So she got her pictures out of her wallet and showed her 3 daughters. And right away, Glenna said, I want her. And she selected my picture. And it was a picture of me when I was actually, I believe I was in the 8th grade or 9th grade. And I had my long hair, which I still have today, natural look. And she just told my mom that I want her. And she says, you know what, out of all my daughters, she's the only one here, and she's going to school at Albuquerque. My other 2 daughters are in Idaho.
Wow.
So my mother calls me, and, I just got done with my classes. It was in the afternoon. And she says that this artist, Glenna Goodacre, would like to have me do some model work. It piqued my interest, and I think the buying point was she said she was going to give me a rental car. And, because at that time I was living in the dormitory. I didn't have a vehicle, because all my classes were there on campus. And so she got me this rental car and for the weekend. And I was able to go from Albuquerque to Santa Fe. It's like a 60-minute drive. And went on a canyon road where all of the amazing artists in New Mexico are located. It's actually the hot Podge place in New Mexico. If you actually live on Canyon Road, you are somebody. And so again, you know, I'm coming into this open-minded, not knowing who this artist is. Come up to a gate and beep in, and they open it, and on the way in are these children's sculptures of children, and beautiful sculptures. And I pull up to this, I believe it's got to be 12 feet, wooden, 2 doors. They look like barn doors. And she comes out and she greets me, and there's this huge sculpture of Ronald Reagan. And I asked her, I said, you know, why do you have a Ronald Reagan sculpture? And she says, oh, that's what I created, and I used to work for Ronald Reagan. So that to me was amazing. You know, I just thought, wow, you know, I'm in the presence of this, you know, amazing artist. And we sit down and we start talking about this project that she received from United States Mint. And she just wants to know, you know, history about Sacagawea. And then we arrange a time for me to come back the next day. And my mother and I both agreed that if we were to do this, that we actually do the modeling in historical, the same historical era that Sacagawea was. And so she actually contacted a local gallery, and she pulled some strings. And the next day I came back, and they delivered a beautiful deerskin dress that was from the 1700s. And it wasn't Shoshone, but it resembled the same type of dress that possibly Sacagawea would have worn. I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to fit that dress because, again, our women, or any of the women back in the 1700s, were a lot smaller, smaller framed. We didn't have McDonald's and, you know, fast foods as we have today. And I went and tried it on, and it fit me perfect. Seriously fit me perfect. And right then and then I just kind of felt like, you know what, I have a really good feeling about this, really positive. And we ended up doing a photo shoot all day. And she took a baby doll that was just sitting in her gallery, and she says, here, put it on your back. And we acted like that was the baby that, you know, was with Sacagawea on the Lewis and Clark journey. Now, I'd never seen those pictures. After we were done, I signed a model agreement, which is just one of her basic model agreements. And we shook hands, and she says, I'll be in touch. And I didn't hear from her for, I'd say, about 6 months. And, you know, but again, I was busy going to school. And
did you know that that's going to go on the dollar, or was it kind of in the air?
No, I had no idea.
You had no idea?
I had no idea what was going to happen next. A couple months rolls by, and she checks in with me, and she says that, you know, she had to turn in all of her stuff. It was actually per her agreement requirements. Everything had to be turned in, including the pictures. So I would have to say another 6 months rolls by. And then I get a call from the United States Mint Director, Philip Dill. He actually leaves me a voicemail. So I get back from my classes. Here I have a recording from United States Mint Director, Philip Dill, stating to me that Glenna and I, our designs actually made it into the top selection. And so I call him back, and he tells me congratulations, and I really don't know what that means. I really don't. Not knowing exactly what she submitted, and so I'm very intrigued to see what they're talking about. He tells me that this is the first time ever that they've ever used a non-US Mint engraver, and that this is the first time that they're actually going to put it out to the public, and the public for the very first time is going to select the next winning design for a coin.
There's some pressure on you.
Yeah, and so he tells me, go to usmint.gov website, and at this time, not a lot of people had laptops like we do today. It was actually a time that we had pagers. We didn't have cell phones. I think the Blackberries were there. But he says at 6 o'clock Eastern time, which is 4 a.m. Mountain Time, because Albuquerque's on the same time zone as Idaho. He says, go to the website, and you can actually view, and you can vote, and you can get your family and friends to vote for the next image. So I'm excited. I can't sleep all night. I'm tossing and turning. I have my alarm to wake up at 3:30, and I go to the computer pod on campus. I'm the only one there.
Yeah.
I arrive and I log in usmint.gov, and there pops up my picture, the first one. It's like I was looking in a mirror. She went and replicated my image, my facial characteristics, like it was me. So it was really weird.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I mean, there was just a variety of different emotions and feelings. And here I was by myself, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm on the website. I'm on internet.
Do you remember how many finalists there were?
There was about, I believe, top 10, the top 10.
Oh, wow, okay.
And out of the top 10, there was about 6 to 8 of me.
Oh, wow. So you were on
Yes.
6 to 8 of them.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
did you think, wow, I have a pretty good shot? I mean, I one of these.
Yes, but I didn't want to get my
Your
hopes
hopes up, yeah.
I didn't want to feel overexcited. I called my grandmother, who is no longer here, but I called my grandmother and told her, and she didn't believe me. So guess what I did? I ended up going and making 100 copies of all of them. And I sent them home to my dad, my mom. Well, my mom was in Santa Fe, but sent them home all here to Idaho. And, you know, so they can believe me that I was on the internet. And I called Glenna, and, you know, we were just so excited. And we really were just kind of, it was a waiting game after that. You can actually vote every day. So, of course, I went in, told all my friends, you know, go vote. I was also told during that time that it was a confidential project. So I couldn't really say that that was me. So it was kind of odd. So I just kind of kept it on just with my own personal friends.
Yeah.
And so I would say a couple more months roll by. So this is a very lengthy process.
Yeah.
This is the government.
Yep.
And then I get a call that said that we were actually in the top 5. And that was pretty exciting news. And then not too long after that, I get a call that we actually were the winning design, and the winning design included the baby. That really won the public over.
Was that
loved
your
it.
favorite one?
Yeah, I would actually have to say yes. Yeah, there was 3 different versions. You know, there was the side profile, which, you know, is just your complete side profile. And if you actually know a lot about coin currency, it's very typical that the United States government actually always does the side view on a coin. Take a look at your dimes, your nickels, your quarters. You always see the side view.
It's an interesting point,
And with this coin, there was a lot of new things. So for one, it was gold. There was a true Native American model behind it. It wasn't a side view, it was more of a frontal. And also it had a baby. Never in history, in United States history, do we have a coin that has a baby.
And a living person.
And yes,
And you're here, yeah.
Yes, I'm the youngest and only living model on United States currency. If you go into Canadian, you have Queen Elizabeth.
Okay.
She's on there.
Is that when you kind of tell everyone, or did you wait till they came out?
I waited till I waited, and they asked me, United States. They asked me if I actually wanted to have my name out there. Because I was going to college, I was in my senior year. They kind of felt that maybe it would hinder me from graduating, which actually, when I think back, it was such a whirlwind because I was flying out a lot from Albuquerque International Airport to Philadelphia to the United States Mint. That's where the majority of the coins actually were minted. And so there was a lot of celebration. There was a lot of better understanding how to prepare for media requests. Glenna and I actually had to go to some media training on how to answer questions that might pop up about the coin. Very interesting. I mean, again, you know, if you think about it, here's a young woman from Idaho southeastern Idaho, from Blackfoot, from the reservation, that just was going to school off the reservation in New Mexico. And then here I'm given this opportunity. And, I really wasn't a public speaker. There's a lot of things that I needed to learn.
That's really cool. So did you get a ceremonial coin? Did they give you one?
Yes, yeah, yes. I actually made my own coin, and I made my family's coin.
Oh, wow.
My family, we all got, my grandma included, my aunties, and a drum group from Fort Hall. We all flew over to Philadelphia, and there was an unveiling party. And so when I say I made my coins and everybody's coins, what I'm talking about is which is interesting, they kind of set it up just for this event, but I had this red button and I push it down, and then behind me there was this mechanism that was coming down making the coins, and then it was coming out on a belt. So every time I pushed, it would come down and make the coin.
So you literally made it. You imprinted it.
Yes. And then what happens is that there was a US Mint employee tracking. And so every time the coin, like say if you were in line, because I had a line of congressmen.
People that wanted a coin.
Oh, yes. And it was an exclusive high-end party. And so there was like anybody who was anybody in Philadelphia or whoever they invited. I mean, and again, this was such a, I don't even know who was all there.
Yeah.
I was taking pictures with a lot of people.
Yeah.
My family was there. They were all taking this all in too. So it was very new for everybody, including myself. So here I am making all these coins, and we got them in the mail, and they came in a special box, velvet box, and with a nice little label from
That's
that
cool.
night. And it's so funny because they didn't send me mine. So I didn't get my coin. My dad and my sisters all got 10 boxes, and my sister got 5. My mom, I think, got 5. So they gave me one of theirs. But it's still the same.
Did they just forget, or what?
I don't know.
There's
But
the government for
I
you.
know. I was like, what the heck?
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So doing all that media training and kind of being in the spotlight, is that kind of what made you decide to go into public relations? I mean, did that influence what you're doing now?
I think a little bit. Yeah, but I think also just having the personality that I have. I've always been, I guess in my mom's word, bubbly, outgoing. I actually didn't think I would be doing this, to be honest. And this position is fairly new, so it's about 9 years old.
So is this what brought you back? What brought you back? What ended you
up? So after the coin was released to the public in 2000, and 2000 was the year that I graduated from college as well. So 2000 was my year. I also was on a magazine, a Native American magazine called Native Peoples Magazine. And I was given the title Face of the New Millennium, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what that really meant, but...
And you were also recently named 10 Idaho Hometown Heroes by the JRM Foundation for Humanity, and that's recent. Like, that wasn't 2000. This was last year, I think.
Yes, it was last year.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I got the award for Under 40 award in southeastern Idaho.
Oh, cool.
Which is great because I was actually turning 40 like the next month.
You hit it just on time.
I hit it right in time. I've had a lot of amazing opportunities to and being involved with a lot of community projects. I never thought I would be doing this, to be honest. I actually thought I would be in a museum, becoming a curator, doing what my mother did, because that was my love, that was my passion, it still is. And actually, I actually wanted to be on the Antiques Roadshow.
Oh.
So you see the Navajo rugs and you see all the Native American objects that are brought forth. I actually wanted to be that tribal face to say, this is a Navajo rug, or this is a painting from the 1700s. Actually was studying to be that. From 2000 to that time, I actually was traveling a lot with the United States Mint. A lot of people think that I got paid, but my travel was paid for. I I was given a lot of coins that I can just freely give out because again, that was part of their promotion of having the model give out coins. So I remember having a bag of this many coins.
Wow.
And I would just stick my hands in and say, here's a tip, here's $5, here's $10.
Oh, nice.
Go to restaurants. One time went to an Italian restaurant in Philadelphia. We went and paid the bill in all Sacagawea dollars.
That's cool.
The bill was about $500. We just poured it out onto the table.
Oh, wow.
Took pictures. I believe that Italian restaurant took a picture with me with this pile of Sacagaweas.
That's great.
You know, so there was a lot of amazing things. But, you know, again, I didn't make a whole lot of money. You know, if I was to go back, I'd probably end up, you know, getting a lawyer, maybe looking at more of, you know, my rights.
So they never gave you a check to thank you to use your image? None of that?
None of that.
Just you traveled around passing out coins?
For about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think, you know, and a lot of these jobs, you do get paid for that, especially if it's so high profile.
And I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just a college kid. And you know, and again, my mother was my manager. But, you know, she had limited amount of, I mean, in any case, who has the knowledge of how to represent your daughter who's on currency and even being a model on coin? I mean, it's just very unique. Nobody ever.
No, you don't know what you don't know. I mean.
Exactly.
So you work at the tribe, with the tribe, and you deal a lot with the media, us, and others. What do you think is the biggest, or a few of the biggest misconceptions the public has about the tribe?
That we're not progressive. I think there's a lot of miscommunication. I think there's a lot of negative news out there about the tribes, about tribal members that, you know, are involved in high-speed chases, or I think there's a lot of, I think local communities tend to pick up on the negative things other than the beauty of the land, the beauty of the culture. The fact that we have such a rich history that promotes southeastern Idaho. And I believe that it's my job to help smooth the wrinkles and help educate and bring to light the good things that our reservation creates. We all need to work together in order to be successful. Whether it's with economic projects. For one example is I-15 exit 80.
Yeah.
We're working with the Idaho Department of Transportation, which is great collaboration project that's going to improve and enhance the freeway, the interstate for all.
Yeah, it should be nice if it all works out.
Yeah, exactly. And they're actually putting out this artist design, so they're reaching out to the tribal community saying, hey, kids, adults, what do you think should be on the mural on this freeway exit?
And you do a lot of local events too.
We do.
We see you at rodeos, and we see you at festivals and the fair. I mean, things like that. There's the yummy fry bread that you give out samples of. I mean, it's you are out in the community, it seems.
Yes, we are, and I think that really helped with our project with the hotel. And so we have been engaged at local chamber functions, Rotary. You know, we do participate at the Eastern Idaho State Fair. Our Indian relay races are very popular. That's actually something that we're very proud of. It actually started in Fort Hall. It's a very exciting horse competition that our ancestors did long ago, and we still do today. It involves one rider, 3 horses.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, and they go around the track, and then the riders actually have to be agile and be able to jump off the horse going 20, 30 miles an hour, pulling it back, and then they jump off and they jump onto the next horse, and they're out on the track going around again. They do that 3 times.
I want to get your thoughts before we go about Paulette Jordan being elected as the Democratic nominee. I mean, that's pretty pretty impressive. Would you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%, and we stand behind her 100%. Paulette is actually a good friend of mine, and I'm very, very proud of her. She's also a young mother, and so I actually met her years ago while I was working in this position, and at that time she had her little one. She actually took her baby with her when she was on the council, working for the Coeur d'Alene tribe. So when I first met her, I just thought, wow, she is amazing. Bringing her baby with her, because when you work, being a Native American woman, just being a young mother, and you have to go to work. And she took her baby with her, and they allowed her to, the baby, he was such a good baby. Now he's a young man. And so, when I look back at where she was and where she is today, she truly is an amazing young lady. She's got a good heart. If she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it, and she's going to do it 100%. So we're really proud of her, and we back her up.
Great. Well, Randy, you have some fascinating stories, and it's something to be proud of. And every time you pull out one of those dollars, you can say, you heard from the source itself. I guess you can't sign coins.
I can't sign, so it's called defacing. So I can't sign them on directly, yes. But the coins are available at the Donzia gift shop.
Oh, cool.
They still are making the coins, United States Mint. And actually this year, the 2018 coin, on the back side, so I'll always be on the front of the coin, but on the back side, every year they change designs. So this year, they're actually commemorating Jim Thorpe, who was actually one of our very first Native American athletes that made it to the Olympics and won a gold medal. So
well, that's
amazing
that's
history.
One of the coins to check.
Yes,
check it out.
Yes, and collect them.
Yeah.
And I'm right here from Blackfoot, Idaho. So.
Right here in our own backyard. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you. Randy'L Teton. She is the Public Affairs Manager for the Bannock Shoshone tribe, Shoshone-Bannock tribes, I should say. And we thank you for watching. Have a good week.